Novitas Solutions, a CMS contractor, welcomes you to the On-Demand Education series. On-Demand Education Disclaimer. This on-demand tutorial is a general summary that explains certain aspects of the Medicare program, but is not a legal document. The official Medicare program provisions are contained in the relevant laws, regulations, and rulings. The information enclosed was current at the time it was presented. Medicare policy changes frequently. Links to the source documents have been provided within the document for your reference. This presentation was prepared as a tool to assist providers and is not intended to grant rights or impose obligations. On-demand tutorial resources. Throughout this module, you will see a citation number behind certain elements of information as shown in the example below. This citation number coincides with the transcript document positioned next to the Play Now icon you selected on the training videos Click and Play page on the Novitas Solutions website. The citation and associated hyperlink to the resource described in the module will be found on the transcript under footnotes for each slide. Novitas Solutions On-Demand Education Series presents Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Form, Part A. Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Overview. Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Definition. A redetermination is a new and independent review of a claim if the party is dissatisfied with the initial claim determination. The redetermination is the first level of appeal that is processed by the Medicare administrative contractor. Please keep in mind all requests for a redetermination must be submitted within 120 days after the date of the receipt of the notice of the initial claim determination. A clerical error reopening or claim correction is the act of initiating a correction to a previous claim submission. This includes errors in data submission and content. However, it does not include failure to bill for items or services. Claim corrections must be submitted within 1 year from the initial claim determination. A clerical error reopening is for minor errors or omissions on your claim submission, such as mathematical or computational mistakes, transposed procedure or diagnosis codes, or inaccurate data entry. Many of these corrections you can do on your own. Adding, changing, deleting modifiers, changing current procedural terminology, healthcare common procedure coding system codes, or changing build units. Redetermination and clerical error reopening purpose. A redetermination request will review the submitted medical documentation sent with the appeal request and will allow an independent reevaluation of the claim determination. If the redetermination is favorable, the claim will be reprocessed for payment. If the redetermination request is fully or partially unfavorable or dismissed, a letter will be sent to the provider with details on their next steps in the appeal process. A redetermination request can be completed by one of the following options: online submission via the Novitasphere portal, or submitting a written request via fax or mail. A clerical error reopening request will allow for corrections to be made on an incorrect claim submission. When a valid clerical error reopening is submitted, the claim will be adjusted or reprocessed. A clerical error reopening or claim correction can be completed by one of the following options: online submission via the Novitasphere portal, or by submitting a written request via fax or mail. Completion of redetermination and clerical error reopening form. Locating the redetermination and clerical error reopening form. The redetermination and clerical error reopening form can be found by accessing the Novitas Solutions website. Once you select the correct jurisdiction, you will use the Appeals option on the left side toolbar. You can select the Submit Appeals or Submit Claim Corrections from the drop-down menu on this toolbar, or continue to the Appeals Center landing page by selecting Home under the Appeals Center. If you choose to navigate to the Appeals Center landing page, you will select the option of Submit an Appeal, Forms and Tutorials, or Submit Claim Corrections and Reopenings to take you to the Paper Fill and Print Medicare Part A Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Request Form. Step number 1. The first step on the Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening form is to use the radio button selection to report the appropriate state in which the services were rendered. For today's example, we are going to select the state of Maryland or MD. Next, you will notice there is a drop-down option to select if your appeal request is due to a prior authorization denial. The two options in the drop-down box are either non-emergent ambulance or hospital outpatient department. If neither of these options apply to your request, the field can be left blank. Step number 2. Step number 2 has 5 questions that you need to answer with yes or no by selecting the radio button. Question 1. Are you requesting a clerical reopening? For today's example, we are going to select no. Question 2. Does a claim you are appealing involve Medicare secondary payer? If the answer is yes, please send the primary payer explanation of benefits with the request. For today's example, we are going to select no. Question 3. Should recoupment be stopped for a 935 overpayment? If the answer is yes, please provide a copy of the overpayment letter. For today's example, we are going to select no. Question 4. Does your appeal involve the recovery auditor decision? If the answer is yes, please provide a copy of the overpayment letter. For today's example, we are going to select no. Question 5. Did the claim you are appealing reject with message MA130? If the answer is yes, do not submit this form. Please correct and resubmit the claim. For today's example, we are going to select no. Step number 3. Step number 3 has the provider privacy authentication, so please complete this section in its entirety. These fields include the provider transaction access number, or PTAN, is a 6 to 10-digit number assigned to the provider who is billing the service in question. We will type in PTAN to show as an example. The National Provider Identifier, or NPI, is a 10-digit number assigned to the provider who is billing the service in question. We will type in NPI to show as an example. The last 5 digits of the tax identification number, or TIN, for the provider who is billing the service in question. We will type in TIN to show as an example. The full name of the provider who is billing the service in question. We will type in provider or facility name to show as an example. Step number 4. Step number 4 has a beneficiary privacy authentication, so please complete this section in its entirety. These fields include: provide the full first and last name of the beneficiary as it appears on the Medicare card for which the service has been billed. We will type in first and last name as an example. Provide the beneficiary's 11-digit alphanumeric Medicare beneficiary identifier from his or her Medicare card. We will type in MBI as an example. Document control number is a unique 13-digit claim tracking number issued by Medicare that can be obtained from your remittance advice. We will type in claim number as an example. Step number 5. In step number 5, please provide the date of service, or DOS, as well as the procedure code in question for the service or services billed. We will type in DOS and code to show as an example. Step number 6. Step number 6 is where the requester adds their contact details. The fields include the requester's name, relationship to provider, and telephone number. Please add direct line or extension. While there is no field for an email, that can be added as an additional contact in any of these fields. These details are used if Novitas would need to contact you or request further information on your request. Let's add some details here for examples. Requester's name. We will type in requester as an example. Requester's relationship to provider. We will type in appeals team as an example. Requester's telephone number. We will type in X's and add an extension, as well as an email example. Step number 7. The final step in the form completion is where you can create a narrative that gives a clear, concise reason for the request. Please be as specific as possible and try to avoid jargon or acronyms that may not be understood by Novitas's appeal staff. Let's write a brief narrative to say the appeal is to support the medical necessity of denied services. Submission of redetermination and clerical error reopening form. General mailing address and fax number. Once your form is completed in its entirety, you can fax the supporting documentation with the redetermination and clerical error reopening form. This can be used as the cover sheet to our appeals department at 1-888-541-3829. Please keep in mind, if faxing medical records, they cannot exceed 200 pages. Also, please only fax one request per patient to avoid the documents combining, which can cause the appeal to not process. If you wish to send the documents via priority mail or with a commercial carrier, you can use the physical or street address of Novitas Solutions, Attention Medicare Appeals, 2020 Technology Parkway, Suite 100, Mechanicsburg, PA 17050. Post office boxes for JL. If you are rendering services in jurisdiction L and decide to mail your supporting documentation through general mail with the United States Postal Service, or the records exceed the allowable amount of 200 pages that can be faxed, you can use the following addresses to send to our post office box. Please keep in mind, you will substitute the X with the appropriate PO box and extended 4-digit zip codes listed. You will use Novitas Solutions, Medicare Appeals, PO Box XXXX, Mechanicsburg, PA 17055 XXXX. For the state of Delaware, use PO Box 3417 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1853. For the states of Maryland, District of Columbia, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, use PO Box 3385 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1840. For the Part A contractor ID J12901 for states PA, New Jersey, DC, Maryland, and Delaware, use PO Box 3122 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1832. Post office boxes for JH. If you are rendering services in jurisdiction H and decide to mail your supporting documentation through general mail with the United States Postal Service, or the records exceed the allowable amount of 200 pages that can be faxed, you can use the following addresses to send to our post office box. Keep in mind, you will substitute the X with the appropriate PO box and extended 4-digit zip codes listed. You will use Novitas Solutions, Medicare Appeals, PO Box XXXX, Mechanicsburg, PA 17055 XXXX. For the states of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, use P.O. Box 3103 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1819. For the states of Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas, use P.O. Box 3113 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1828. For Indian Health Services, use P.O. Box 3111 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1857. For the state of Oklahoma, use P.O. Box 3114 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1829. And for Veterans Affairs, use P.O. Box 3116 and the extended 4-digit zip code 1830. Submission of Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Form in Novitasphere. What is Novitasphere? Novitas offers a free, secure, web-based portal for providers, billing services, and clearinghouses. Once your enrollment is complete, you have a multitude of features at your fingertips within the Novitasphere portal, including submission of redetermination and clerical error reopenings. For questions about enrollment, password resets, or usage, please contact the Novitasphere Help Desk at 1-855-880-8424 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also visit our website at novitas-solutions.com for more information. Appeal Request Search in Novitasphere. Once you click on Status and Appeal Requests from the left navigation bar, you'll see the search screen appear. You'll select or enter the required data elements noted with the red asterisk and click Submit. Keep in mind that the PTAN and state will populate for you and the date of service will default to the date you are entering the request. We will input this data today for our example: beneficiary's Medicare ID or MBI, DCN or claim number, DOS for date of service. Once you are done inputting your data, use the Submit button to populate claim details. Once the claim details populate, you will see specific details such as the claim number, NPI, date of service, status of the claim, and bill type. Once you determine which claim you want to view to submit your appeal request, you will select the View button on the relevant row from the results screen. Submit a redetermination request, Level 1, in Novitasphere. After selecting the View button on the relevant row from the claim details, you will see the Patient Claim Info screen. Here is where you will select the Submit Level 1 Appeal button. Novitasphere Level 1 Appeal Request Form, Part 1. The Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Request Form will then be displayed. This portion has the options for the state in which services were rendered, the prior authorization option, and the series of questions we had discussed earlier. We will leave the prior authorization blank, and as you can see, the system automatically selects No for the other questions. Novitasphere Level 1 Appeal Request Form Part 2. The bottom half of the Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening Request Form should look very similar to the paper form we reviewed and completed earlier. You will need to complete all required information that has an open field or box. For our examples, we will enter NPI, PTAN, TIN, provider name. Remember, these fields will auto-populate based on the claim selection. Beneficiary first and last name, beneficiary Medicare number or MBI, document control number or DCN, date of service or DOS. Requester's name, requester's relationship to provider, requester's valid telephone number, procedure code in question. Reason for redetermination or clerical error reopening request. If you like, you can add your email in this field, but keep in mind it only allows 250 characters. Once all the fields are complete, click on the Next button. Uploading documents for an appeal in Novitasphere. When uploading documents, please keep in mind the documents must be in a PDF or TIFF format and less than 1,500 pages. In addition, multiple documents can be added with the File to Upload option. Follow these steps to upload your documentation. Input claim number. Select Browse to find your documentation. Select Upload File to import your documentation. Select Submit to finalize your submission. It is also important that you do not submit a copy of the Redetermination and Clerical Error Reopening form with your records. Doing so will cause a duplication of your request and will cause processing delays for your appeal request. Thank you for attending. We encourage you to visit our website, www.novitas-solutions.com, to access additional resources and participate in our educational events. Visit our education and training page to access the most current Medicare education.